How y'all this morning?
Great.
Well, it is an honor and a pleasure to be able to come and speak with you this morning. I'm gonna use some notes this morning because those of you that don't know me, I'm known to be a little long-winded, so they wrote some notes down so I can stay on subject.
There you go. There you go.
Like I said, my name is Mike Smith, and I'm running for Alabama Senate District Number 2. And that's Bill Holtzclaw's district now. Essentially, it runs from the Interstate 65 over in Limestone County all the way over to Highway 53, University and Jordan intersection there. Covers the Arsenal, all of Madison City, Harvest, Tony, and a big part of West Huntsville. It's a big district, like he said, and I'm trying to get around and speak to as many people as I can and talk about what we can do. Like I said, my name's Mike Smith. I have been chairman of the Limestone County Democratic Party for about the last 5 years. So I've been working into politics and working with people that were running for office. And I'm going to tell y'all as a chairman, we got the winning argument, okay? We've got the winning policy. I've been saying this all along. I've gone around with so many Democratic candidates that everywhere we went, we won the room. They got it done. The problem is we didn't get in front of enough people. And that's still an issue that we have to deal with. So I encourage you, we've got, in 2014, the same election cycle, district-wide, the 5th district, we have 25 seats. We had only 4 people running district-wide. This time we got 17. We got candidates. We got good candidates. We got quality candidates. If we get out there and get behind them, we can get this done. But we have to get them in front of enough people. And that's basically what I'm trying to do. I'll go, if y'all have somewhere you'd like me to come speak, talk to a group of people, I don't care if it's 3 or 100, I'll come. Okay? Because if we don't get out in front of people and talk about it, we're not going to get it done. I've lived in this district, or I've lived near this district all my life in the area. I was born over in Athens. I went to school across the river in Decatur, graduated high school. 2 weeks after I got out of high school, I was on top of the world. I was playing football. We went to state championship, went to Rotary Club. They threw rolls at us. I said, man, I'm going to like this. 2 weeks later, I went to work for the city of Decatur. And went to work at the sign shop, painting streets, putting out cones, and driving fence posts or sign posts with a hammer. And I looked on the bulletin board there, and they had the job descriptions or classifications. I looked through the first page, the second page, and then the third page. Down at the very bottom, the last one was general laborer. And I said, that's what I hired in. Here I am, $10,200 a year. That was 1984. I worked at the sign shop. I worked sometime at sanitation. I moved into the fire department. I began to realize the importance of education and bettering myself, and I took every opportunity in the fire department to get training. Fire college down, I've got a certificate for every class they've done, and then, other classes that were offered to me through my job. I couldn't afford to take anything on my own, but, I took all I could. 25 years later, I retired as a battalion chief from the fire department. I didn't have to flip the paper anymore. It was above middle of the page on the first page. During my time there, I served as the union president for about 8 years. And while I was union president, I was younger and lower in rank sometimes. And I would be representing one of my company officers. Somebody I had a lot of respect for. And for some reason or other, and I don't know why, I always had the ability to talk. I just didn't get intimidated that easily. And I realized sometimes when these people that I looked up to and respected so much, when they had issues, real issues that affected their family and their pay and their working conditions, and oftentimes insurance, that kind of thing, the ability to cover medications. So it was these type of issues I started working on when I was in my late 20s, and it became a part of what I'd done. And I realized the responsibility that I had, and I took it as a responsibility that I represent these people. I have to be ready. I have to have a working knowledge of what we're doing. And if I have the ability to speak for these people, then I got to use it the right way. And I guess that got me started. I saw what City Hall could do to working class people, and what they were willing to do, more importantly. It's just about money, you know? And it's not just about money. It's about people's lives. And it's about fairness, and it's about equality, and it's about the dignity of work. And I have not looked down at this speech I was supposed to be reading, and none of that. I did it again.
That's all right.
You're doing well.
You're doing
well.
Yeah.
You're doing well.
And it didn't stop there. I worked with the fire department. As you know, firefighters work 24 on, 48 off. I ran a small business. I worked 2 jobs all my life, up into the last year or so. After retirement, decided I want to run for office. So I've been in small business, and I've seen what it's like to not be able to get for your employees what you think they deserve. But it's about money. I tried to buy insurance plans. I tried to buy things and got prices on them, but guess what? If that guy next door will build that house or frame that house or lay those blocks for that price, then I don't have a choice. I can't get the job if I afford this. And that's why we should have a level playing field for working class people. That's why it is so important, because they turn the working class into a rat race where we fight against each other.
That's right.
The old concrete finisher told me, he said, "You're a good finisher." He said, "But you're a fool." He said, "You're doing it too cheap." I said, "Pete, I ain't got any choice." I said, they priced it out. He said, "You boys has priced yourself out of a living."
Yeah.
I thought, wow.
Exactly what you
And I never forgot that. And I always gravitated to the older guys in the fire department and in the construction business. A lot of wisdom out there. A lot of hard-earned wisdom, you know. Since I started running in February, many people have asked me why I'm running. And that answer is simple. Alabama isn't living up to its full potential. We're not living up to the promise to the people, and more specifically to the working people, to allow them the opportunity to succeed. And that's what it's about, an opportunity to make ends meet, to succeed. For too long, the Republican-controlled legislature has been exploiting Alabama workers. Republicans have been taking the votes of working class people for granted, throwing around a few wedge issues and that kind of stuff. And the working class people are beginning to feel the pain. They're beginning to realize that when I go to the poll, it's not about those wedge issues, it's about how I feed my family and how we put groceries on the table. But Alabamians are smart. I think they're going to see through it. I have wondered for years, where's the bottom? You know, as being a Democratic chairman, is going out and trying to push forward the Democratic Party. And I was talking to these guys, the reason I'm a Democrat is because of my experiences. When I went out, first time I voted for Ronald Reagan. I was tickled death. He's a grandfather, he was a coach.
Yeah.
He told me we're going to get out there and fight for it, and that's what I want to do. I go with him, you know. But as time went on, becoming a union officer, having that small business, when Clinton was in office, we had jobs. We could find work, and we could get decent pay. The economy was moving. And I realized that the reason I'm a Democrat is not because somebody told me, because my granddad is a yellow dog Democrat, and he's been beating me over the head for 10 years. But the reason I'm a Democrat is because of my principles. I can't be a Republican because I don't agree with that ideology. An economy is built from the bottom.
That's right.
Government is not here to protect or subsidize business. This is a capitalist system. They can take care of themselves, and they will at your cost.
That's right.
Government here is here to provide a level playing field and take care of working class people to see that they can succeed. To see that they're not just working class. To see that they can excel, they can be entrepreneurs. What they want, what corporate America wants, is a working class that's at work 60 hours a week, don't have time to read the paper, don't have time to get involved in politics because they're too busy trying to put food on the table, and they don't go to the polls. And they have succeeded in a great part in doing that. Before, forget this piece of paper. Early 90s, I told you, work was okay. All right? I retired in 2009. I get 50 years old. When I was a freelance carpenter, going from job to job, I could get more money than I could at 50 years old with some education now, with a lot of experience, and with some success. And when I took a few jobs, mostly driving a truck, working on a farm, I decided, you know, I'm just going to go back and be a cog in the wheel and just work. I've been in management, I've done all that stuff, and I just want to work. And I realized these guys are not talking about, they don't even know what a 40-hour week is or care. When they ask about a job, they ask, how much a week? That's the question. And I say, how many hours? It don't matter. The job I was working, we were working 60 or 70 hours a week. You don't have time for a life. You don't have time for a family. And you certainly don't have time to understand what the economy's doing or to look at the news. You work 60 hours a week, you come in, that's the last thing you want to look at or think about. So we've gone away from that 40-hour week to, it doesn't matter how many hours, this is the amount of money I need to make ends meet. What I got to do to get it. That's what we've lost. That's where they've taken us to. I've got a card that I passed out or laid out on the table. If you take time to look at the back of it, this is my economic plan, okay? And I guess that's a little arrogant for me to say I have an economic plan, but I do. We have to start by providing economic security for Alabama families, okay? And that will provide stability for Alabama's economy. Now, that has to be $15 an hour. And here's why. Because a family of 4 in Alabama with one breadwinner making $11.83 an hour is statistically in poverty, and that means that they draw assistance or can draw assistance. Alabama families can't succeed like that, and we can't expect them to. We have to set a minimum wage sufficient enough that they don't fall back into poverty. It has to be able to make the ends meet, and we have to be ready for when that transmission goes out or when that air conditioning unit tears up, and we have enough money to cover that. This is how people are living in Alabama, and we have to set that level playing field to have success. Now, small businesses will tell you that if you do that, the price of goods have to go up. Okay, let's give them that. Let's step past the fact that wages have stayed stagnant since 1980 while profits have gone up. They got the money to pay you, but it's in their pocket now, and that's a losing battle to get it back out of their pocket. So let's tell them you can go up. I've done a study. I looked up a fast food chain, and I got acted as though I wanted to buy one, and I got the figures, and I was very fair to them. I used the figures that they had on the labor plus the Social Security, all their figures. And what I come up with is no more than 18%. If they pay those people in that fast food restaurant $15 an hour, they don't put an extra bun on a hamburger, they don't pay 2 light bills, right? They don't spend any money except on that labor, so let's give them that. But at 18%, that means for every $1 more we spend, there's 4 more in our pocket. That's how economy works. Okay, so they can afford it, and I say it all the time. Small business don't need a tax cut; they need a customer. And at $15 an hour, that's what this will provide. One example I like to use is a hamburger meal, $4. Okay, man makes $7.25. He goes in and buys. He got $3.25 in his pocket. If we give them $15 an hour statewide, that hamburger now going to cost $4.76. Had to go up on it. But he's got $10.24 in his pocket. He can buy a meal for another person in his family. He can go buy shoes. He can go down here and shop. We see people all the time shopping and looking at stuff. $20. Boy, I'd like to have it, but they have to lay it back down. Small business needs customers with money in their pocket, and the economy will start to work. And what happens when that money starts to flow from the bottom? Sales tax. 51% of this state's budget comes from sales tax. This is how we get Alabama started back. And then we need to look at Medicaid expansion. And then we need to look at mental health care. And I can name off 10 others, but let's just go there for just a minute. So why minimum wage first? If we go out and we say we need to expand Medicaid expansion, which we do, there's a cost factor to it. And we just defeated our own purpose. We're spending liberals again. We're asking for money that's not there. But if we pass a $15 an hour minimum wage, we can cut. We spend $260 million a year on assistance. We can cut between $200 and $250 million reduction in spending. That means we have the money. They estimate about $130 million to get us into Medicaid expansion. Right now, on Medicaid in Alabama, you pay 100% of the cost as taxpayers. If we had accepted Medicaid expansion, the federal government picks up 90% of that cost. So we need that investment. How do we get that investment? By reducing spending. And what else have we done? All those people that were on assistance, they don't pay taxes. We hear Republicans talk about it all the time. Well, they don't pay any taxes. They just become taxpayers, another revenue stream into the budget. I hear all the time that we've got a budget crisis in Montgomery. We don't have a budget crisis. We've got a revenue crisis. And the crisis is how we use that money, how we spend it, how we raise it. If we raise that minimum wage, reduce that spending, then we're not spending liberals anymore. We've still got money. We do Medicaid expansion. Medicaid expansion is, for lack of a better word, a money maker for our budget. Okay? But in addition to that, we create 15,000 new jobs, which more money in our budget. Good jobs in the medical industry. 300,000 Alabamians, and pay attention to it, 300,000 working Alabamians, people with a job, but don't have health care, can have access to health care. And then we start to reduce the population in the emergency rooms. We don't go to the doctor when it's a crisis, but we can go get preventive care. And we don't spend as much money. And then it's estimated that the cost of insurance in Alabama is about 15% higher because we don't have Medicaid expansion. If we went into Medicaid expansion, we would reduce that crisis spending in emergency rooms, and all our stuff would be better. $240 million in sales tax. Like I said, our budget's 51% of its funding comes from. So this is something we can do. This is something we can do. And it's as easy as going down there and demanding for working class people in this state to have a decent living. It's not going to cost anybody anything because we're going to let the stores go up. And by the way, I took that 18% and I applied it to framing houses, finishing concrete, laying bricks, building houses, driving a truck, hauling grain, all these things I've done. It worked every time. It's less than 18. It's less than 18. If you take a Walmart or a big store like that, but my guesstimations is 3 or 4% increase. And they've covered the cost. And that's the important issue here. We raised it to 15, and the only argument they've got against us is that businesses will suffer. No, businesses won't suffer because we're going to allow you fairly to do that. And if you go up too much, then we don't shop there. Now you've got a market-driven economy. Right now, what you have is a profit-driven economy, sold as a market-driven economy. Our economy is based on the profit that they can make. And they keep us low enough that we don't really have choices. I'd like to buy American, but I went to Walmart yesterday to buy those chickens for this fundraiser I got this afternoon. We don't have choice. But we can get back to that. But it starts with empowering, get that word out. Thank you, ma'am. Empowering the Alabama, the working class. With the money in the bottom of the economy, and wealthy man's gonna have it before it gets dark anyway. So somebody else said that, but at least it went through the poor man's hand once.
Okay.
Now then, the other thing that I think we need to do, and this one would be all spending, but I'm going to tell you it's something we have to do, and that is mental health care. We have let mental health care in this state become non-existent. Mental health care is not new. I saw an advertisement a couple years ago, in 1950, they talked about 10% of the people in the nation at some time suffer from mental health care. It's not new to our time, it's always been here. But when people are in socioeconomic stress, I guarantee it goes up. And we've all got it. Me and you. We all become depressed. We all have anxiety. Some people become unable to function when that happens. And I think about the anxiety I have sometimes, or the depressed when they lose somebody, and how bad that feels. If you multiply that 10 or 20 times, I don't think I can imagine how they feel. But they need assistance, they need help. They need, and it's best for us that they get help. So we could build in this state a mental health care system, a functioning mental health care system statewide, so that people that need mental health care can get out of a cell and into a bed. In Alabama, they always say there's not enough beds. Put them in jail. We could reduce the population in our jails by as much as a third by having a functioning mental health care system, and we've got the perfect opportunity to build the best one in the United States because Alabama has neglected and destroyed the one we have. So we get to start from the beginning if we can do this. And if we pass Medicaid expansion, guess what? The federal government will cover 90% of the cost of those people in the mental health care system if we had one. This last session down there, they budgeted $50 million for the jails. 20 million of that 50 was to go for medications for people in jail who needed psychotic drugs. But they under-appropriated it down to 30, so they only got 12 million. So what do? Take your medicine every other day? You know? I mean, what's needs and what's choice? We need people in Montgomery that think clearly. We need people in Montgomery that think about the poorest among us. And we need people in Montgomery that care that they have a challenge. And I do. That's why I want to go to Montgomery. That's why I want to serve in the Senate. That's why I want to represent the people of District 2. And all I've got left to do now, I've retired from the fire department and done about everything else I could do, is do some good. I'd like to end on a high note. Anyway, I didn't read hardly any of this, and I talked too long again. And I appreciate y'all for having me. I appreciate you for giving me the time. And if you have friends that live in District 2, you help me to get to Montgomery, and I won't let you down.
We sure like
Thank
to
you.
see
Thank you.
that.
Oh, Got my questions? Yes, sir.
2 points.
Yes, sir.
Number one, get around to these volunteer fire departments.
Okay. Yes,
And
sir.
Make sure you got your accoutrements on as such that you can wear. I've been a firefighter for 40 years.
Uh-huh.
Newmarket, we don't get paid.
Right.
We get to do it we get to risk our lives for nothing.
Absolutely.
Now, we got Mo Brooks kicked out of the DA's office back in the 80s and replaced with Tim Morgan by
Uh-huh.
going to these volunteer fire departments. So don't be volunteer fire departments.
It's a good network. Yes, sir.
And you've got to translate what your good ideas are into dollars and cents.
Right.
If you get a guy out of the slammer and into some kind of a productive mode,
Uh-huh.
it saves money.
Right.
Second most important thing in the world. Okay. Also, for example, when you talk about minimum wage increase, point out the fact that companies like Walmart and Burger King and Mickey D's, some of their biggest expenses is hiring new people.
Uh-huh.
You know, because, and you know, this is well documented. I'm a Walmart stockholder.
I know where you go.
And so translate it into dollars and cents. You can't talk about it in terms of the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to talk about it in terms of money and whatever.
Right.
So,
Did you
because,
know?
remember, people vote their gut.
That's right.
They don't vote their brain.
The
I'm an Alabama.
yeah. No, you're making the
You
exact.
can tell by my accent.
Yes, sir.
What
But
party is in there?
to address the Target announced about 2 months ago, Target stores nationwide, that they're going to a $15 an hour minimum wage next year. Now, my point there is, when corporate America sees that their employees can't survive and they raise the wages, where was government?
That's right.
What were we looking at? Okay, so it's coming. Wouldn't it be awesome if Alabama could be one of the first states to do it statewide? And you talk about economic development, people be fighting to get their company to come to Alabama because there's a thriving economy. We've got parks, we got mountains in the north and emerald beaches in the south. Alabama's got everything. Right now, the problem with Alabama, if you want to fix the problems in Alabama, you got to solve poverty. That's what's killing us.
It is. It is.
It's that simple, you know. And we're not talking about handouts. We're talking about opportunity. And you know, one more thing. To your Walmart.
You might point out that 4 counties in this damn state
Uh-huh.
pay for the whole state.
That's exactly right.
And you might point that out. I mean, you know,
I do
we're
understand.
in the 19th century.
Yes, and I'm talking to people in Madison, in District 2, where we're living pretty good with a very low